Good evening, everyone. This is Mellissa Thomas of Florida National News coming to you with the evening news rundown for your Wednesday, May 27, 2020. Happy Hump Day, guys. As always, we'd like to bring you the latest COVID-19 updates from the World Health Organization, the CDC, and the Florida Department of Health. So starting globally with the World Health Organization, we are at approaching 5.5 million confirmed cases and over 349,000 confirmed deaths. In the United States, according to the CDC, we're looking at approaching 1.68 million confirmed cases, and we're at over 99,000 confirmed deaths per the CDC. Of course, Johns Hopkins, we're already at over 100,000 according to the Johns Hopkins reports. But jumping over to the Florida Department of Health's dashboard, we're currently at over 52,600 confirmed cases here in the state of Florida, and we are over 2,300 confirmed deaths. Now, for your world story, we're jumping over to the UK, where Prime Minister Boris Johnson is juggling both a high death toll at over 47,000 and some political backlash. So according to the Office for National Statistics, the UK is at over 47,300 deaths right now nationally. And according to the backlash, to give you guys, his top advisor, Dominic Cummings, actually broke protocol. He broke the isolation protocol and actually traveled 250 miles outside of London in an effort to acquire childcare services. Now, a lot of folks were not very happy about that, including within Prime Minister Johnson's own administration. One of his junior ministers, Douglas Ross, actually decided to resign in protest because Prime Minister Johnson was defending Cummings' decision, his top advisor's decision. He said he was following the instinct of every father. However, I guess he felt that it wasn't a very good look. So between juggling the COVID-19 response and then losing someone in your administration as a result of that, he's shouldering a lot at the moment. And the public is looking to him for answers because originally back in March, their estimation was that the nation would sustain 20,000 COVID-19 deaths. However, as you heard a few seconds ago, that number is much higher. And even in April, they were reporting that their best case scenario would be 50,000 confirmed deaths. And as you can see, they're fast approaching that number right now, and possibly a little bit over that, because as you've heard us report before, the UK wasn't counting deaths outside of hospitals. So we'll continue to keep you posted where that's concerned, because I'm sure the plot will continue to thicken over there in the UK. Now, jumping over here to the United States, a little bit more positive news where COVID-19 is concerned. Governor Cuomo is looking to reopen New York City in June, specifically in mid-June. And Mayor Bill de Blasio had mentioned that by mid-June, New York City would be ready for reopen, and that's what Governor Cuomo is looking to do as well. The governor was on the phone today with President Trump, and the purpose of the call was to request more federal funding for the area, because he feels that now is the best time to fund infrastructure projects to ramp up the economy right now. So he's looking to fund projects such as the LaGuardia Air Train and extensions to the Penn Station and to the 2nd Avenue subway. As of yesterday, Mid-Hudson Valley was reopened, and as of today, Long Island was reopened, both on a phase 1 basis. So of course, minimal attendance in terms of percentages for indoor attendance to reduce the risk of a second wave, the use of PPE, and social distancing. So congratulations to New York, and huge congrats to New York City specifically, because that is a place that's typically very jumping, and it was jarring for pretty much all of us who know New York City to be such a crowded and active place and see it so empty for 2 months straight. So we know that the citizens there are looking forward to things reopening. Now, jumping to our second U.S. story, 3 of the 4 U.S. senators that were investigated for insider trading, their investigations have been dropped. They have been exonerated. So the 3 were Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler out of Georgia, Republican Senator Jamie Inhofe out of Oklahoma, and Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein out of California. Now, these 3 were exonerated primarily because in the investigation, of course, they disclosed that they did not make the stock trades based on the COVID-19 briefings that they were privy to. They were not the ones that literally made the trades. They said they were not responsible for those transactions. Senator Richard Burr is still under investigation because he disclosed that he did make those stock decisions himself. However, he mentioned it wasn't as a result of any briefings that he was privy to. He says he made those decisions based on news reports that he was watching. But we'll continue to see how things unfold with that. But that brings us to our audience question. Do you think the story is pretty much over for the senators? Do you believe that the three that were exonerated were rightly exonerated, or that they should still be held accountable, even though they didn't make the stock decisions themselves? They're hired folks that do that. Do you believe that that's something that should be further investigated? Leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Just want to pick your brains to see what you think about this. All right. So in the meantime, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll bring you your Florida story.
Mercury agents everywhere are saving people hundreds and are also there to help save the day.
That was fast. You covered.
Thanks, agents.
Watch out!
That's my car!
Don't worry, we're here to help.
For savings and service above the rest, you can count on Mercury. We're on a mission to save you money.
Mercury. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Evening News Rundown for your Florida story. As you know, hurricane season is literally right around the corner. June 1st is when it kicks off. As a result, the Florida hurricane tax-free weekend is upon us. So if you're someone that needs to stock up on hurricane supplies, Friday is the first day that you can do that on a tax-free basis. It'll run from May 29th till next Thursday, June 4th. So make sure you get your supplies as soon as you can. Some of the items on the list include batteries, weather radios, fuel cans, and generators. Now, some of the places where you cannot take part in the tax-free relief are public lodging establishments, any airports, theme parks, or entertainment complexes. So make sure you're going to your standard supermarkets, your major grocery stores, and you'll be able to take advantage of the tax holiday and stock up as much as you can, folks, because NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, they're forecasting an above normal 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. They already have 13 to 19 named storms coming. So be sure to prepare, board everything up, whatever else you have to do if you are a resident in Florida in preparation for hurricane season. As we know, hurricane season is no joke. And given the pandemic, that is an extra layer of preparation that's necessary. All right, now jumping down to business news, this may be one of the places where you end up shopping for tax-free supplies, but Lowe's is actually funding small businesses, minority small businesses to be specific, as they reopen in the midst of the pandemic. So obviously they're funding small businesses nationally, but as a hardware store, they're prioritizing hardware, home improvement small businesses that are looking to reopen in light of COVID-19. So far, Lowe's has released $25 million in funding, and they've already given over $340 million in COVID-19 relief in general. So congrats to Lowe's on that. And the CEO, Marvin Ellison, actually had an interesting challenge for his fellow CEOs. Take a look at this quick clip.
What's your message as an essential national retailer who has a tremendous breadth of knowledge? What's your message to the country right now, which is, I have to tell you, a country that I find a little discouraged?
Jim, my message is simple. Look, I grew up in a small town with parents that didn't have formal educations. I worked my way through college, starting as a $4.35 an hour associate, and now I'm the CEO of the 44th largest company in America. This can only happen in America. You can't keep the American spirit down. You can't keep the American business climate down. We have to be smart and work our way through this downturn, but we have brighter days in front of us. To all my fellow CEOs out there running large companies, let's do our part to help the small businesses get back up and going.
Well said, and the challenge has been laid out to other CEOs, so we'll see where that goes. We know that there are several CEOs that have been busy, such as through the CEO, Jack Dorsey, that's been doing his thing. But one other quick note with Lowe's and their minority small business grant funding, the funding will go towards helping businesses acquire the PPE that's necessary to protect themselves as the country begins to come out of the pandemic, and to purchase any other needed supplies to reopen. Now, jumping to sports news, a bit of not so good news, particularly on the part of the players. A lot of them are quite upset after the conversation between Major League Baseball and the MLB Players Association. As of right now, they're now proposing a sliding scale where their pay is concerned. Rookies will get to keep up to 47% of their salary for this year, but the more lucrative players, the multi-million-dollar players, they're only keeping roughly 20% of their salary this year, which obviously players are going to find that very upsetting. The Players Association called it extremely disappointing. For their part, Major League Baseball, the league was saying that they made as realistic a calculation as they could, given the realities of the COVID-19 pandemic and how far behind they currently are where their season is concerned. This proposal, if approved, they're still in talks, but if approved, it would leave about $200 million in postseason bonuses. And that some of that would be made up to the more lucrative players, given the higher fraction of salary loss that they're having to sustain for this season. And MLB overall, they're saying that roughly $3 billion in salaries are going to be lost for this particular season. So a bit of a tough conversation for Major League Baseball and the MLB Players Association to discuss. And of course, our Casey Hudson will likely go into that in a little more detail during her FNN Sports Take today. But before we jump into our entertainment story, we're going to take one more quick commercial break. We'll be back.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
Welcome back, guys, and thanks for continuing to stick with us. Your entertainment story for the day, the SAG Awards, the Screen Actors Guild Awards, are following in the footsteps of the Oscars and considering films that don't have theatrical releases or have not been theatrically released yet. So as of right now, they're still finalizing their rules and guidelines, and they'll release those rules and guidelines in June. But as of right now, much like the Academy of Film Arts and Sciences, they're going to consider films that have either planned theatrical releases or they release to video on demand first and have a planned theatrical release thereafter. So congrats to all the filmmakers that are going to get that extra consideration this year for the SAG Awards coming up next year. And we'll continue to keep you posted once those guidelines come out, because we know we have a lot of creatives watching as well. But that does it here for us at the Evening News Rundown, guys. If you haven't already, be sure to like us on Facebook. You'll find us at Florida National News, at FNN News TV, and at FNN News Live. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe on YouTube. We're at Florida National News over there. Be sure to click the little bell icon to make sure you don't miss a single episode, not only of the Evening News Rundown, but of any of our shows. And speaking of our continued programming, be sure to stick around here, because at 8 p.m. Eastern, Casey is back with the FNN Sports Take. So guys, be sure to stick around to catch her commentary as well. But thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. It is a pleasure. I'm Mellissa Thomas with Florida National News. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.